Hi everybody, welcome to the Tiny Studio. It's your girl Nail, and this is Simply Nail's Tiny Studio. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you so much for joining me here in the Tiny Studio. Simply Nail's Tiny Studio is a place where you will find me talking about crochet, my love of vintage coach, and I will also sometimes pop in here to give advice on how to care and maintain healthy locks. So that's what goes on here in Simply Nails Tiny Studio. But we also talk about other things. So one of the things I would like to talk to you about is Deadline reported that Antoine Fuqua is getting ready to direct a movie about my guy, Michael Jackson. So I'm guessing sometime next year, a Michael Jackson bioflick will be coming to a theater near you. And will I go see it? Most definitely. I am a true blue, diehard Michael Jackson, the Jacksons, Jackson 5 fan. All right. Pushing that to the side, do I think that we need a Michael Jackson biopic? The answer is going to shock you, but I will have to say no. We do not need a Michael Jackson biopic. And listen, and you may say, well, why not, Neil? Why don't we need a Michael Jackson film? The reason why we do not need a Michael Jackson film is very, very simple. We already have a Michael Jackson film, a definitive Jackson's film, which is The Jacksons and American Dream, the miniseries that came on, almost, I don't want to say how many years ago. We have that. If we want to reference any part of Michael Jackson's life up until 1984, then if you want to know, there's the pick. There's the movie to watch. I just think, and yes, Michael Jackson had a full, thriving career after the Victory Tour, which is where the Jacksons and American Dream stops after Victory Tour. Yes, he had a full life after that. I mean, he had, he goes on to make Bad. He goes on to make Dangerous. He goes on, he continues with a full career. And he becomes an even bigger star right after the Victory Tour. But I just feel that there are some elements of Michael Jackson's life that I just don't want to see exploited on the big screen. And some of those elements would be his drug addiction, drug abuse, the pedophilia allegations, the pedophilia trial that he had, his marriages, his marriage to Debbie Rowe, his marriage to Lisa Marie Presley. I'm thinking that, I don't think this is something that we should touch. And maybe as a Michael Jackson fan, maybe I'm being a little bit, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't feel that that is a good idea. I just don't. But for all of those generations who never saw or have never seen The Jacksons and American Dream. A lot of people have not seen that movie. And so maybe the Michael Jackson biopic is something that they could get into and something that they will enjoy, something that will enhance their appreciation for who Michael Jackson was or is. I just feel that sources say that the Jackson family will be involved in the making of this picture and Michael Jackson's estate. I really don't care for the Jackson estate, not really, but what I want to know is, are the Jackson family, which is his mother, Katherine Jackson, and his living siblings, which would be Rebe, Jackie, Tito, Marlon, Brandy, Latoya, Janet. I want to know if they're all going to be involved in it some kind of way, because that would mean something to me. And, if not, I'll probably still see it anyway, but it will be more meaningful to me if they had their say. But I do understand what happens when you have family involved in a biopic of a celebrity's life. Okay, then the family comes in and they censor things, which is what you don't want in a biopic movie. You don't want to have certain things censored. And I felt that way about the Aretha Franklin biopics, because you had one that was at the theater, which was Jennifer Hudson portraying Aretha Franklin. And then you had one that was featured and on the History Channel, I believe. And it was, I think it was produced by Clive Davis, I think, if I'm correct. If I'm not correct, let me know down in the comments section. Let me know if Clive Davis did not produce the History Channel's movie of biopic of Aretha Franklin. But I'm pretty sure that he did. I think Cynthia Orville, is that how you pronounce her name? She played the title role of Aretha Franklin. And I really think that that movie was probably more accurate to Aretha Franklin's story than the film Aretha that Jennifer Hudson was in, that was sanctioned by the family. And the reason is because when family is sanctioning things and approving certain things, then there are elements about there are elements about the central character or the person that is being portrayed on the screen. There are elements of their life that we don't get to see. We're not privy to. And that's why sometimes I would advise people, when you're reading an autobiography is great, because then you get that person's side of the story and the way they saw things. But then reading a biography also is good too, because all of the stuff that was left out of the autobiography is going to be in the biography. And then you'll get other people's insight on certain things that was happening in the person who, in the celebrity or, whatever famous person it is that's penning a autobiography. You get everyone else's take on what really happened. You get other eyeballs and insights and perceptions. And then you, the reader, get to put together the pieces to the puzzle. So that's why I felt that the Aretha Franklin film on the History Channel was superior to the Aretha Franklin film in the on on the big screen. So when I read that headline in Deadline, I wasn't too thrilled about it because as a Michael Jackson super fan, I'm into preserving his legacy, right? And I want his legacy to be preserved. But there are sensitive things that have to be addressed in a Michael Jackson film. And those sensitive things could get misconstrued or they could be exploited for dollars. What am I talking about? I'm talking about I'm talking about his drug addiction, which probably happened maybe a few years after the accident that he had um, filming a Pepsi commercial with his brothers. And that accident he had, he sustained burns to his scalp. And so I just know that when you suffer from drug addiction, you make decisions in your life that may not be the best ones that you would make, or would not be the ones that you would make if you were sober. So I just think after a certain time, and I want to say after 1990, to me, that's when Michael Jackson became a little problematic in some of the things that he was doing and some of the things that he was saying. And even for me as a Michael Jackson fan, I had to draw the line on certain things. And even though I was with him and I knew that he, in fact, did not molest those children that, whose parents were taking him to court and whatnot, I knew he didn't molest those kids. And because that just wasn't his nature. However, when you're dealing with someone who has issues, then, and me personally, I don't know what people do in the privacy of their own homes. So even though this happened, it was in the news and whatnot. Even though I wanted to say, based on the less than 1%, based on what I thought I knew about Michael Jackson, I could not say for sure because I didn't know him, and I couldn't say for sure because of the fact that he was having some issues. So I'm just concerned as a Michael Jackson fan. I'm just concerned about how he's going to be presented on the silver screen. I'm concerned about his legacy. I'm concerned about how much of the story and how much of the story are is the director Antoine Fuqua and the producers of the film. How much are they willing to tell? How are they going to tell it? And now with Lisa Marie Presley, uh, with her death, I'm sure her mother, Priscilla Presley, is going to have her own 2 cents to say about how much of her daughter and her daughter's life with Michael Jackson is featured in that movie. Because we know Priscilla Presley, she goes hard. She goes hard for the people that she loves. So that's all I have to say about that. I am concerned about, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to this Michael Jackson film. I'm looking forward to it with trepidation and a little apprehension. I am. Should he have a film? Yes. Yes, he should. I wasn't happy about This Is It. I was not thrilled about that because, and the reason why I didn't like or wasn't thrilled with This Is It, that came out maybe a year after Michael passed, why I wasn't happy with This Is It is because it's clear on the screen to me and to everyone else that Michael was sick, that there was something wrong with him, that something was going on. It was obvious. And why nobody caught it, why no one said anything about it, that's something that they are going to have to deal with for the rest of their lives. But watching This Is It was heartbreaking. So I wonder how much of the Michael Jackson story, how much of his life story will Antoine Fuqua decide to put on the silver screen? Where is he going to stop? What point will he stop at? Will he stop at the Michael Jackson, remember the time period, which is what, 93? Will he stop there? Because if I was him, I'd stop there. Because I'm going to tell you, anytime after 93 becomes really, really tricky and problematic. It really, really does. Who remembers the other Michael Jackson biopic that came out? They had Flex in it as Michael Jackson. Oh my goodness. And I only watched that in passing because I just felt like that was a bunch of junk. So I don't know. And then in the film, we have to deal with his skin issues. You know, he had vitiligo, and how are we going to tread on that? How is that going to happen? Because he went from being one complexion to being completely, melanin free. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's going to have to be well thought out. It's going to have to be tasteful. And I don't know. And I hate to bring this up, but then there are the children. I know I'm wrong for saying that, but then you have to deal with that. Will he touch that subject? Because that's a hot potato subject right there. The subject of Michael Jackson's children. Because you know what I'm talking about. So I guess we'll find out. We'll find out soon. We'll find out. We'll find out next year. When we get our tickets and our popcorn and get ready to see this Michael Jackson film. Because I'm there. I'm going to see it. But what will be my thoughts after I leave the theater? I don't know. But my first mind says to leave this subject. Leave Michael Jackson alone. Leave that story alone. Unless you're going to tell it up until 1993. Or tell it up until the first trial that happens. If you leave it there, we're good. Anything past 93, 94, it's all not where we want to head. Not where we want to go, in my opinion. All right, then. Those are some of my thoughts and what I'm thinking about here in the tiny studio. What do you feel? What are you thinking? How would you feel about having, how would you feel about there being a Michael Jackson? What do you think about that? I mean, are you excited? I mean, you have Aretha Franklin, you had two Aretha Franklin movies, you had a movie about Queen, which was good. You had Elton John just had a biopic out. Then you have Whitney Houston. I haven't seen that yet. Whitney Houston's biopic, and I think she's had like two, if I'm correct, two. I think there are two Whitney Houston biopics. No, it's one on film, and then there was the one that was on Lifetime. So I also feel that I feel the same way about Whitney Houston. I mean, after the Lifetime film, did we really need a Whitney Houston film on the silver screen? Did we really need it? And I do understand that on Lifetime they kind of glossed over some things. You know, some things were censored out, and in this and in the big screen film, they sprinkle that little, they sprinkle that stuff about you know Whitney Houston dabbling her feet in the waters of lesbianism. They kind of talk about that in the film that's on the silver screen. But I just didn't think they needed to do another Whitney Houston film, and I really don't believe they should do a Michael Jackson film. I really don't. I think that's like taking a bat and playing with a hornet's nest. That's what I think. Well, that's all I have to say about that today. So thank you so much for hanging out with me here in the tiny studio. And if you have any questions and comments or concerns, let me know down in the comment section, and we can get it popping and talking and having a good conversation about, this new Michael Jackson film. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to Simply Nails Tiny Studio, please feel free to do so now. Thank you so much, and I'll check you out next time.